Hey guys, Kyle Bradshaw here, and today I want to talk to you about two of the longest lasting adventure tires on the market. We have the Heidenau K60 Scout, which is undoubtedly the king when it comes to longevity and getting the most miles out of your tire that you possibly can on a big adventure bike. The next tire is relatively new to the market. It's only been out there for a couple years now, and that's the Motoz Tractionator GPS tire. Now, this tire was developed by Motoz as the Heidenau killer. Now, there are a couple things that Motoz has done with this tire that really have stepped up the game a little bit and have allowed them to get a little bit of an edge on that customer who was always a Heidenau customer. Now, I've had the opportunity to run both sets of these tires on my R1200 GS Adventure 2008 model. The Heidenau, I got just over 12,000 miles on. I took them off. I probably still had another 1,000 miles left. Definitely the longest lasting tire I've ever had on a bike. And that was until I picked up the Motoz GPS tire. This tire allowed me to get about that same mileage, but the characteristics or the handling that I had out of this tire, I believe, were better than that of the Heidenau K60. Now, I was actually a little surprised as I pulled out the durometer, and looks like this Heidenau here is right in between 72 and 74 on that durometer reader. And this GPS tire is right around that 76, 77 mark. So the GPS tire actually has a harder compound than that of the Heidenau K60 Scout. Now, when I ran these tires on the GS, I had them on for almost an entire season. The Heidenau I found in cold and in wet weather was extremely slippery. My traction control on that bike was lit the entire time. I did not find that when I ran the Motoz GPS tire. I think that has to do with the fact that they use more natural rubber in the GPS than Heidenau uses in their Scout tire. I did feel that the Scout tire was a little plasticky feeling, if you will. I have no idea exactly what the compound make is of the Heidenau K60, but that was just the impression or the feeling that I got as I traveled on this tire. Now, when it comes to tread depth, the Heidenau has about a 1/16 of an inch less tread than the Motoz GPS tire. We're looking at 7/16 of an inch, and we're looking at 1/2 of an inch. Now, when looking at the sidewall of these tires is where I found another difference. The Motoz GPS tire uses a 4-ply nylon construction, whereas the Heidenau K60 Scout uses a polyester 4-ply construction. Now, I don't know necessarily what that dictates as far as which one acts different than the other. All I do know is both of these tires have extremely stiff sidewalls. The stiffest sidewalls of any adventure tire out there in the space. Now, due to the stiffness of the tire, Motoz actually ships their tires with these cardboard rings inside of them. That cardboard is meant to keep the bead out, to keep the tire from being squished or compressed, which makes it extremely difficult to get on the rim when you get it home. Now let's talk about that tread pattern just a little bit. So the Motoz Tractionator GPS tire is a reversible tire. You can run it one direction for 50-50 performance, run it the other direction for mostly off-road. In the 50-50 direction, it has the same basic tread direction as the Heidenau K60 Scout, which is meant to be run in only a single direction, and that is the direction that's facing you currently, and that's going to be the 50-50 mode. As you can see, the tread pattern kind of swoops back and swoops away. What that's going to do is when this tire leans over into a corner, it's going to have a leading edge that's going to trail away like this. That's going to allow this tire to feel much smoother when you're rolling into and out of corners. Now, with the GPS tire, if you flip that around to their mostly off-road format, what you're going to notice here is you're going to notice more leading edges. You're going to see that this is more of a diamond or a triangle piece up here, and these leading edges are going to allow this tire to have way more bite from the sidewalls here of the tire, or the outer edges I should say, than you're going to have on the Heidenau K60. That's a really neat design that Motoz did, giving you the option to run a 50-50 tire that's good on the street, or you flip it around in this orientation here for a tire that's good for mostly off-road riding. Now, I had the opportunity to run both of these tires independently on different years at the Sheet Iron 300 put on by the Oakland Motorcycle Club. The first year I ran the K60 Scout was actually on my 950 Super Enduro, and then I followed up the following year on my R1200 GS Adventure on the GPS tire. I gotta say, I was really impressed with the way that these tires handled. Now, what makes these tires have so much longevity is this center strip that runs down the center. This solid piece that always has contact with the pavement. So the more rubber you have on the ground, the less wear and tear each of those pieces has, and therefore you're going to increase the longevity of the tire. Now, when you get into an off-road situation, it really is imperative that you air these tires down. And the reason for that, again, is that center strip. The center strip on this tire scared the crap out of me the first time I ran it. Came onto a gravel road, was cruising, then put my brakes on. I literally slid an additional third, if not twice as far as I was used to sliding on the TKC 80s that I took off the bike. This center strip just sits right there on top of the hard pack and just slides for days because these ribs here weren't able to touch the ground. Now that leads me to another comparison between the K60 Scout and the GPS tire that I did notice as soon as I got the GPS tire off-road. I was imagining that I would have the same exact feeling that I had on the Heidenau K60, but I didn't. It seems that this profile is so much flatter than that of the K60 that I was actually able to have these leading edges that did touch the ground, make contact, and actually help slow me down faster than I experienced with this tire over here. As long as we're still in those comparisons, the K60 Scout is a much rounder tire than that of the GPS. The GPS had more rubber on the ground at all time, and I think that allowed me to have two different outcomes. The first would be a slightly longer wear than I had out of the K60 Scout, and the second would be that when I did get off-road, I did have more traction. And probably the third thing would be in the cold and wet weather. There's more rubber touching the ground and therefore less chances for the tire to break loose. Sidewall height was exactly the same, 2 inches on each tire. And again, tread depth, we had 7/16 of an inch and right at 1/2 of an inch. So about a 1/16 of an inch different between the tread depths. All in all, these tires are absolutely phenomenal if you're looking to be able to get max mileage out of your adventure bike. Again, I felt that the K60 Scout, although it performed extremely well in all types of situations, was a little bit sketchy in the cold and the wet. And off-road, I had to air this tire down a lot more than I did the GPS in order to get the traction that I was looking for. The GPS tire from Motoz, I think, is a slightly better tire in the fact that it was sticky in all situations. It didn't cut out in the rain or in the cold weather, and my longevity on this tire was just a little bit longer. And there you go. That's just a quick rundown of the differences between the Heidenau K60 Scout and the Motoz GPS tire. If you got any questions about these two tires, please shoot a comment below. If you've ridden on these tires and you have an experience that you'd like to share with those watching, please leave a comment as well. I'm Carl Bradshaw. Thank you for watching. Until next time, take care and ride safe out there.